Honor and privilege of having a conversation with Helmut Reisinger, the CEO for EMEA and LATAM for Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks is the world's leading cybersecurity leader. And before we go into more questions, could you tell us a little bit about this company in such a fragmented world?
Yeah, the world is indeed fragmented in cybersecurity, Rebecca. Palo Alto Networks, headquartered out of Santa Clara in California. We are 14,000 staff across the world, and we have a few big beliefs in this fragmented industry that is changing ever so much. One is the topic around network security. We believe network and security go inherently together. Second belief is the world moves to a hybrid multi-cloud world. Therefore, we need to give our customers protection across wherever they have their workloads in the cloud. And the third is, if we want to have a good protection and automation, we need to leverage AI, and we have been doing this for more than 8 years, because every day we discover 1.5 million new attacks that have not been there before via our sensors and via our 75,000 customers that we serve across the globe. And therefore, in this increasing threat landscape, we are trying to help our customers with a platform approach, combining it with a best-of-breed approach. Historically, the industry is so fragmented because for every little topic and threat that you had one good invention in a given country and say, I have the perfect solution. But the issue is, it's a solution only for one fragment of the digital estate of a company or of a public organization.
Very interesting. I want to make sure I got those numbers. You solve 1.5 million a day from the past. You see from the...
Exactly. We detect 1.5 million new attacks every day.
Yes, but you solve...
We solve and we protect and we prevent 8.6 billion per day. And this is only possible, because we will certainly talk about AI, if you have good data. And the reason why we have become number one is because we provide network security. It's nowadays called Zero Trust SASE as well. Cloud security from code to cloud, but also the Security Operations Center capability to transform it and to assist the experts in the Security Operations Center with the help of AI. And the outcome then is, if you have good telemetry data from your network assets, from your firewalls, from your, whether they are hardware or virtualized or in the cloud or in a container in the cloud native world, from your cloud assets, from your endpoints, this can be an industrial machine, and you apply then the algorithm, then you can come to an outcome which is our standard today in terms of Palo Alto Networks, 10 seconds mean time to detect and 1 minute mean time to remediate, typically.
Excellent statistics, but let's look more closely at what's happening currently in business and operating requirements for cyber resiliency, cybersecurity. And of course, you know, with the stunning developments of generative AI, as well as the rise of bad actors doing generative adversarial networks and increasing the numbers of daily attacks, how is the paradigm for the technology sector going to have to change?
Yeah, well, we believe that AI, there's good and bad sides in this context of cybersecurity on how to deal with with the AI phenomenon. If we talk about the bad side of the house, we see an increasing threat landscape that is driven by multiple factors. AI is one of them. It will drive an acceleration of the way how to produce, to program malware, much easier, much faster. You don't have to be a fantastic programmer to do that. Number two is much more social engineering capabilities. It does not take 2 hours to make a perfect clone of Rebecca, if I say it like this. You can do this with AI much faster and then apply social engineering, leveraging your voice and so on. This is bad. So in this case, AI will have a push effect in terms of the acceleration of the threat landscape. The other topics are geopolitics play a crucial role, particularly for us in EMEA, having a war directly within our territory. I can tell you that people in Ukraine or close to the Ukrainian border are much more alerted than if you go further away. A second topic is the increasing importance of critical infrastructure, because whether it's a nation-state attacker or a private attacker, they want to exploit the vulnerability also on your most vulnerable points, which is a critical infrastructure, critical society, critical entity, and because then it has a huge impact. And then, of course, our ongoing digital or AI transformation in the enterprises. The topic is that nowadays the softwarization is continuing, and we see 80% of today's software, whether it's produced in Seattle or whether it's produced in Asia, is actually done with open source components from the internet. Now, if one of these components that is done by everybody in the world contains malware, you have a huge snowball effect into your estate. Another topic in this is the move to cloud. More than 40%, according to our Unit 42 threat intelligence team, are actually not protected. And last but not least, it's also the new way of working. Historically, an enterprise, an organization had its headquarters, it had its sales outlet, production sites. Nowadays, every mobile phone that is connecting on a train to your application in an enterprise, wherever you have it, is actually one entry point. And therefore, you need to have a holistic view, not a fragmented view. And this is where Palo Alto helps with this platform approach to better protect the customers.
Okay, so now that you've scared absolutely everyone with the threat landscape, what are real-time preventative solutions businesses can activate or communities can activate to protect their data and customers?
Yeah, well, you mentioned a key word there, which is real-time. Let me frame that a little bit. We are now in the year 2023. In 2021, according to our statistics, on average, the time when somebody penetrated a digital asset of a company or a public entity to exfiltrate data and to do harm with it, basically this was about 44 days. So this was just 2.5 years ago. Nowadays, it's a matter of days. With AI, it's going to be hours. On the other hand, in the regulatory framework, if we think about the new SEC ruling for every public listed company in the States, you need to report on critical incidents within 4 days. So you need to have, that's why the world is going towards real-time cybersecurity. So your word is very appropriate. And we say, in addition, real-time and autonomous, which means highly automated, because if there's the influx of data is increasing heavily, we as human beings cannot cope with it. We always need to cross-correlate. That's why you need good data. So what's the answer to it? You need to have good telemetry data on cybersecurity, not your personal data, but telemetry data. And what we are permanently doing is we are permanently cross-correlating. We call it the user identity. So is this really Rebecca Kerr, as an example? Second, it's the device ID. So is this really still the device? Third, it's the application ID. And then we do the behavior and cross-correlation of it. And that's why we are able to see 1.5 million attacks per day that have not been there before.
Okay, so given the speed of this change, how can anyone respond to these challenges alone? What are current trends you're seeing for collaboration, M&A, and cooperation across geographies?
Well, we believe that this trend of platformization will continue. We have built those practices beyond network security into cloud security, partly ourselves, partly with acquisitions. We have just announced over the past 4 weeks 2 additional acquisitions to strengthen the portfolio in some areas where we felt this is going to be the next big trend. One in cloud security, one in the zero trust network security space. And in terms of ecosystem approach, we are serving our customers via partners. So we are very strongly dependent upon the skills, the competencies, and the cybersecurity awareness of our partners who are integrating our technology with customers. So ecosystem approach and collaboration beyond borders is key. Like it is key because we talk about trust in the cybersecurity space. We are not a law enforcement entity, but when we see something and we are called in by customers, and for example, our incident response team, Unit 42, then we might do the groundwork technically, but then we hand it over to the law enforcement. And also their ecosystem, you need to have a trusted relationship and trusted base of information sharing.
I want to mix an economic issue with the issue about data. For the large language models and AI, the concept of high-quality data that you can manage, control, store correctly, et cetera, this is of a scale we've never done before. And to match it with an economic challenge, could there be economic barriers for smaller companies or smaller countries to participate at the same level, to be safe and secure with their data and their systems?
Yeah, well, to some extent, yes. The topic is that we have the world's largest cyber telemetry data lake, if I may call it like this. And therefore, we are capable of doing this platform approach as well. And in this context, we say there is two versions of AI that we are offering to customers. One is if we see something that is bad based on correlation, and we are sure this is not a false positive, then actually we have to eliminate it. We call this precision AI. And the other piece, what we do in terms of, as we're here speaking at the Drucker Forum, which is about people-centric leadership, we are making it easier for the expert in cyber, which is then the generative AI. So that's the first one we have been doing for 8.5 years, and now we're introducing step by step also those co-pilots directly into the system. Now, the world, compared to 10 years ago, digitally is more fragmented nowadays. That's clearly visible. You see the big geographical data pillars of the world. You see US versus China, if I take two. And yes, there is, there is a fragmentation that is taking place. What we need to make sure is that our customers, wherever they operate, we have to protect their digital assets. Yeah? And therefore, we also have to, of course, make sure that our solutions are compliant with given local regulations, whether it's in the States, EU, or elsewhere.
So as a last question, looking a little bit at the arc of the future, as the needs in cybersecurity and the markets grow, what are the key areas to watch where innovation is the most important?
Innovation, I think, will be most important to adapt appropriately AI. Second is also, particularly within the cyberspace, that I believe enterprises, public organizations need to define their essential digital assets. And those essential digital assets are better protected with not another one of 20 different solutions that your team has to cope with and has to manage, but with a platform approach. So that's why we combine best of breed and platform across network, cloud, and security operations center solutions. And I think in terms of innovation, it will be to look at it really holistically, and therefore leveraging ecosystem partner where needed if you're an enterprise, and also making sure that you don't forget about your staff, which is the cyber awareness needs to increase. The biggest vulnerability nowadays are always, of course, software vulnerabilities. And we see, thanks to AI, thanks to robots, they are acting instantaneously if there is a big software company announcing something, there is a vulnerability. We see that it's happening very quickly. But the other big vulnerability is our human behavior. So we continue, even within Palo Alto Networks, even I'm exposed to this, that you get some very decent emails. Actually, it's just a test for you. Well, do you click on the wrong button, yes or no? And you only get better if you permanently train.
I like that we finish on a topic that's about skills and training. So permanently train. Give me one example as we close out today for someone coming into the market to understand what permanently train and be trained means.
Well, we are offering to our employees, we have an approach designed by our people's organization, which is about flex learn, not only wherever you are from, but also in which way you consume the new content that is there. And part of it is, of course, those topics that our security teams push to us, in this case via our internal corporate systems. Hey, you got an invitation for this or that, and you need to double check in your brain, hey, is this good stuff or is this bad stuff? Because the bad stuff anyhow we had blocked, but this would be an internal test.
We could talk for a very long time. This is so interesting. Thank you very much for your time, and there's a deep dive tomorrow here at the forum. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Helmut.
Thank you, Rebecca. Pleasure to meet you. Yeah, thank you.